Welcome to today's reading. I have 3 piles for you all. I have pile 1 with the Neoteric Feminine Tarot with the red tiger's eye. I have pile 2 with the Crow Tarot, and I believe this is a green Moonstone or Garnet. And we also have pile 3 with the Light Seers Tarot and a very dark piece of Garnet, but beautiful nonetheless. Welcome to today's reading, Group 1. Today's reading is a weekly message from Spirit, so we'll just take the time and see what we get as we go. This is the Neoteric Feminine Tarot and the red tiger's eye. Okay, so we have 3 cards. The first is the Empress, the 9 of Pentacles, and the Death card. These cards do have a little bit of meaning written on them. So the Empress, we have divine feminine, sensuality, fertility, nurturing, creativity, beauty, abundance, and nature. She does look very abundant with a, nice pregnant belly, very comfortable. I feel like she's rocking her feminine energy, which is bizarre because it's a concept that I struggle with a little bit. The next was the 9 of Pentacles. So we have rewarded effort, success, achievement, independence, leisure, material, security, self-sufficiency. This lady looks like she wants for nothing. Not wants for nothing. She just looks like very content and very comfortable and very happy with all that she has. And the last card that I had is the Death card, which was transformation, endings, change, transition, letting go, and release. In this card here, it looks like the Grim Reaper is on a horse and has come to collect whoever has passed over. There is what looks like an older woman, a mother, and a child. And it's hard to tell what gender this figure may be laying down. Nonetheless, it looks like a family has lost somebody. That doesn't necessarily mean that a loss is coming. It can just be a state of the rebirth. Okay, so let's see. I'm feeling like I'm drawing a bit of a blank here with this, and I don't know if it's the energy that I'm tapping into in the collective that I'm currently reading for, or if it's me, but we'll have a look and see if we can get something. Okay, so I started getting a message for the Empress saying that she takes the time to go within to decide what she wants for herself and not anybody else. Like, no one else will decide for her. And I feel like she is, I don't know, the word prudent is coming to mind. That's not what I was going to say. I feel like she is in her power, making choices for herself. She is very happy with the choices that she has made. She almost looks proud, content, again, quite comfortable as you could be being pregnant, right? I'm getting something about like a city disposition. Maybe it's meant to be a sunny disposition. Overall, this actually feels like really good energy. Normally when I think of the Empress, I do get sometimes an energy of somebody that when they hold boundaries, like they're not scared to hold boundaries, which is great, but they could almost be like quite firm where you're not always sure where your place is sometimes. This version of the Empress feels a lot softer, like she's still quite approachable. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. They don't always seem approachable. This Empress, she seems more approachable than usual, but she would still have no trouble maintaining her boundaries. She just doesn't need to use or exert any sort of force or control or anything like that to be able to do so. It is that she is very much in her feminine energy and she's letting things come to her. And then she decides where she will go from there and what she will do with what comes to her. Hearing anything else is just a mistake or a waste of time. Okay. Alright, so that's all I'm getting for the Empress card for the moment. So move back to the Nine of Pentacles. Okay, so I started to mention, so this lady looks like she is quite comfortable, quite content, quite happy, like actually, yeah, quite happy. She's like very nicely dressed and she has like a little basket or bag of goodies. She looks like she's in a beautiful garden of some kind. And she has this little bird, it'll be maybe a little bit tricky to see, a little bird in her hand. And it reminds me of Snow White. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Snow White, where the movie Snow White, the cartoon, where, and a lot of those old Disney movies that I watched as a child growing up, whoever the lead female character was, like it was quite a normal thing to see them like walking through woods or meadows with all the animals trailing or following behind them and hearing the birds sing, or the birds would like come and land and sit with them. So Nine of, like, the Pentacles can be abundance, it can be like material wealth and health. This feels to me like I'm getting happiness, but it's almost like things are just so good at this point in time. Like there's no need to try, there's no need to do anything different, there's no need to exert yourself in any way. Things are like on track quite smoothly, going to where you want to go, maybe somewhere that you've been working like towards for quite a while. And I do wonder with this Empress energy, whether it is the fact that you are in fact pregnant, or whether it is that you have given birth to something. This Nine of Pentacles is showing progress and like prosperity and healthy growth and abundance in whatever has been given birth to. There's something with the Empress about nourishment. So I think as long as you are nourishing yourself so that you have the ability to move forward and progress with things, like I guess it's if you think of it as a being fit for duty, where if you look after yourself and you get enough or adequate rest and you get adequate nutrition and, different ways of like self-care, I guess, then it enables you to do more in a productive sense. And I feel like if you can keep that up or maintain that, then that will be really, really helpful for you going forward to continue to build on this like Nine of Pentacles energy. Okay, Okay, I feel like we might come back to that card. I'm really interested to see what we have with this death card. There is a flower on this flag. So it's a black flag with a little white flower, and it doesn't look like a datura flower to me from this flag, but it's what comes to mind when I think about it, when I look at it. And I don't know a lot about the datura flower. I know, I guess they all have certain properties and things that they can be helpful for. What I do know is that it has some sort of esoteric like meaning or value, where I think like a couple of my oracle card decks actually have the datura on it. I know the Lonely Woods oracle does, but I think it can be significant to intuition or invoking intuition. Yeah. I'm getting a message here of it's time to come home. It's like death has come to collect whatever is ready. But I'm getting something about like it's not them going home, it's you going home. So this could just be like the end of a cycle. So like maybe you have found yourself in a different place, and this might make sense for some of you, not everybody. With this Empress card, there is a like city-esque scene in the backdrop here with some tall buildings. And I did get the feeling, although she is like very, very comfortable where she is and she is quite happy and she's being outside in like outdoors, that this city, it's not her. Even if she's comfortable enough that it could be her home, it's not her actual home. And I do wonder if it was that you've gone to stay somewhere for a time and maybe you've been working on something or building some sort of worth, but the time to return home is actually coming around. I'm getting something about prophesizing or prophetizing what she sees. Prophetizing or prophesizing? Prophesizing. They're saying taking time to go within is taking time to show the world who you are without a mask. They're saying being yourself even if it looks like the Grim Reaper. Maybe that's how you feel about yourself. Maybe you feel out of depth or out of, like a fish out of water. There is something that I get quite often, which is coming home can inadvertently be coming home to yourself as an authentic person. Yeah, and the Grim Reaper's not wearing a mask at all. But I feel like with this death card that you're in control of whatever the situation is. I actually do wonder for some of you if this is, I don't know, some people maybe like a business venture of some kind, but it just feels like you have gone somewhere and you've been putting in some sort of work, building something, taking care of something, I'm hearing nurturing, to then capitalize on it, but you recognize that this part is over now, so it's time to pack up and go home. And then maybe you'll go home and regather and come back with another project or cycle of some kind where you go out again. I do wonder if what you do is something that is facing the public, or something that it's like a project. Like you're not forever constantly in front of people in the day-to-day. It's like you are within your own space at home, and you're getting ideas and you're building on something and putting it all together and then getting it all prepared to take out into the world. And when you take it out into the world, then I'm hearing that prophesizing on it. For some, like I did sort of mix that up before. I was definitely hearing prophesizing, I think, for most people. For some people it will be prophetizing. Okay, moving on anyway. I'm just getting stuck on that word because of how it's coming through. Yeah, so basically you're doing the work, you're nurturing whatever it is, you're making the most of it. It looks like she thoroughly enjoys whatever this is. Maybe these are the people that are, maybe this group, that I'm reading for today, are the people that are typically in their power and they know what they want and they know what lights them up, and they've found really healthy, gratitude-filled ways to ground whatever they are doing or whatever their passion is into their reality. And I am hearing for some people monetizing, and it's magical, which, yeah, we don't, yeah, okay. Something else that I'm being called to point out is that the Empress card here has like a little heart. I don't know if it's like a rock or a cushion looking, yeah, maybe a cushion that has a symbol for the male gender or male energy, I guess. I can't tell, but it's male anyway. And she is pregnant and she's on her own. And like, you know, in the Empress and the Nine of Pentacles, she is on her own. Do you know, before when I was looking at the Death card, I thought that the scene looked sad, and I don't know if it was me projecting onto it or if it actually did look sad and now it doesn't. Maybe I'm noticing something else. But this trio, like this family, like the grandmother, the mother and the child, they actually don't look that interested in whatever has actually already played out here. So maybe they're quite unaffected, or you are quite unaffected by some other sort of cycle that has ended around you. I am hearing taking the time to go within will give you all the answers that you need, and that's a quite typical thing that I hear. Like, not only have I received it as a message to pass on to people a number of times, but it's also something that I hear as quite a common piece of information passed on when listening to a reading. But it makes the most sense if you can find a way to meditate that suits you and works for you. It is your best source of information or intuition, better than any, general pick a card reading could actually give you. There's something here about trusting your own intuition or testing your own intuition. So maybe that's an exercise or a practice that you need to do, is set aside some time to find ways to test your intuition. Okay. I'm hearing in this Empress card that the ducks are important. They're saying that there's not enough ducks. That's why they're important, because there's not enough. Oh, it's getting your ducks in a row. Okay, cool. So in this Empress energy, you already know what you want, and I think we did mention that already. It's like taking time to get everything ready and preparing and whatnot. So maybe you just haven't quite finished getting all of the ducks in a row just yet. But you don't have too far to go before that falls into place. So maybe you're actually waiting on something that seems, I don't know, I'm hearing like two things, like menial or juvenile. Menial. I think it's menial. It could be both for different groups. Yeah, something that feels quite menial, but you're really having to wait for it. Although you I don't get the energy or the impression of impatience or frustration or anything like that. It's kind of like if you're pregnant and you're, you know, quite often not only are you tired or you're uncomfortable in your own body, not that she looks like she is, she looks like she's really embracing it, and she just has that, like if there was a picture of what a pregnant glow would look like, she would embody it. Maybe you are really enjoying the process or this time of putting it all together and really embodying whatever it is that you're trying to bring forth. And it's like the smartest, best discipline that we can apply is that level of self-care, where we really do value our downtime and we value our rest and we value prioritizing our own health, well-being and care above, you know, others' expectations and such. And she looks totally unaffected by the world. It's an energy that I'm really getting through all three of these cards, is just really feeling unaffected by anything happening. So kudos to you. That's fantastic. If you can keep that up, that is brilliant. I really thought they might be here with this death card. I'm not sure if I've missed something, so I might just take a moment to see if there's anything else. Okay, that's everything that I'm getting for the tarot. So that all seems pretty good so far. I might take a moment to pull some oracle cards and see if we get something else through there. What do we want to use? So this is the Soul Mirror Oracle. Do that. We're taking those two. Do we want one more? I sort of wonder if you guys, if this group has been the group that's like, you know, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people go on like holidays over this recent time of year with like Christmas and New Year's Eve here in Australia. And a lot of people get really busy and they get really stressed out and they're like trying to do all the things and see all the family and make the most of it. And it can be this thing where a lot of people end up needing like a holiday after the holiday because they've just overextended themselves or, you know, fulfilled the obligations and not really fulfilled themselves. And I actually wonder if this is the group that actually just has been fulfilling themselves and they haven't overextended themselves and they've just been taking their time to do what suits them. And with doing that, they've, you know, honored themselves and kept themselves in a state of like steady, maybe small, maybe little bit by bit, day by day pieces of work that have actually really helped you come out on top in a really good like time or place or opportunity. Like there's something there with the timing that because of how you've handled everything and how you've been disciplined, it's actually like coming to fruition whether you realize it or not. I feel like you would though. I feel like this is maybe not your first time around that you've done this. If it is to those, like congrats to everybody, but if it is your first time, congrats from me if nobody else. Okay, so the three cards that we have pulled is security with insecure and safe. I feel like this is very secure and safe energy. Although she does look a little bit weary, maybe not weary, but I don't know if it's what it is. It's like expecting or unexpecting or a tad skeptical. It could just be like, you know, sometimes people are a true realist and they're just waiting to see what happens. And I do get that vibe from that card. There's something here where the cat is very important as well. So to those of you that have some sort of small animal friend, familiar, I feel like they just, maybe they are part of your like feeling secure and safe. For some of you, it may be a message. If it's something that you've been thinking about for a while, it might be a really nice thing to do for yourself if, of course, you're in a position to be able to do so. Okay, we also have the attention card with resistant and surrendered. This feels very much like surrendered. I do get an energy of coming from a place originally, like maybe at the very, very, very start of your journey. At some point you may have had bouts of insecurity, but I do feel like you have totally stepped into your security that looks very much self-made or created, but through surrender. You know, we can only control what is in our scope of control and nothing outside of that. This is really fantastic. This all seems like really quite nice so far. So yeah, you guys have done well. And here at the end we have support, whether it's like these cards all sort of have two sides of the coin. So it's either discouraged or encouraged. And I feel like this is very much being encouraged. And I don't know if these people, not these particular people, are probably not too bad. I feel like there's maybe, out of the people around you, maybe you had some that weren't very encouraging at the start, and as they seen you progress on your journey and how serious you were about how well you were doing, they were like, well, do you know what, maybe I didn't have that understanding or scope to see all the potentials of what it could be. But you know, you're putting the work and you're being disciplined, you're actually getting it done, and you're actually getting somewhere with it, you're achieving something, and that's fantastic. I do feel like there are others that have maybe are a little bit worn because they've had to be the rock this entire time when maybe there wasn't a lot of people around, right? Because I do get that energy that a lot of this, whether it's that this has all happened on your own accord or it's because you've quite literally been on your own for a while. Yeah. And I do, yeah, it won't be for everybody. And so I do feel like there is one person within the circle that's sort of 1 foot in and 1 foot out, where they are there for you, but I don't know if it's that they have other matters or other, you know, competing priorities in life where they can't totally give their all. But that seems pretty normal, right? We don't always get all the support from, you know, one specific person or from everybody in our circle unconditionally. Sometimes it's all we can give, but there is somebody else here noticing that sometimes some people are like 1 foot in and out. And I do wonder if, although people have been very supportive of you, if some of the people in your circle are not directly supportive of each other, and it may be unbeknown to that is even the case. So if nobody has said anything to you before, there could still be something there happening underneath. But I feel like you have been so focused on yourself, and not in a selfish way, like kind of, you know, selfish in a healthy way where we really should be focused on ourselves and not really what everybody else is doing. But I feel like this is there's another person around you who is seeing that you are busy and doing your thing and you haven't really been paying attention to this other person. And I can't tell what the deal is here, if there's like a gripe or they're just unsure of them and checking them out, or if they've noticed that they've been stepping out at particularly hard times, but now that the credits come through, then they're stepping back in. That will be different for everybody, but just take what resonates for you for that particular message. Okay, something with the tiger's eye, so let's see. Okay, so I'm getting something about the color of the tiger's eye. Being a red tiger's eye, they're typically like the golden sort of brownish tiger's eye. I have seen blue tiger's eye as well, but I had never seen red until I came across this. So the message about the red, it sort of come through very fast and it was a little bit muddled, so we'll just see if we can piece it together. There was something about, it is about the color. So, and when I hear, like when I think of red, I think of cardinal, and I don't know if it's like a cardinal bird or if it's a cardinal as in like an astrological cardinal sign, but I was also hearing fixed as well. So maybe there's something cardinal and something fixed about yourself that you're dealing with at this time. which could be tricky in a place that we're in now, where, so maybe whatever's going on astrologically at this moment requires more flexibility than you are used to, or more flexibility than you typically need to use. Okay, so I think that's all the message is that it would be good to be flexible at this time if you could. And when I say this time, I'm just hearing like 2 to 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm not really sure if we can narrow down on that, but yeah, I wouldn't take it too seriously, just see what happens. Okay, I feel like I've missed something. There's something else here with the support card. Someone's feeling discouraged here from a lack of control and empathy. And it's not their place to exert the control. And they should actually have more empathy. And if they had more empathy, they wouldn't feel like they need to exert this control. So it could be a case of like short-sightedness, or having like a tunnel vision, like a narrow focus. Maybe they're just giving this other person that they feel is stepping in and out so much weight or so much energy that they're sort of creating something out of nothing that was ever really there anyway. So there could be some sort of little conflicts or dramas happening that I guess I'm hearing like could be better managed, but I don't think it is about being better managed. It's like, yeah, I think maybe like the people involved could better manage it themselves, and that it's not necessarily like somebody's actually out to get you or anything. Someone's being like trying to be a good friend and maybe being a bit overprotective, or they've got a little bit of fear. And I still, you know, we're all human and we all have our own experiences, and maybe they've had things that have happened to them before that have caused anxiety or some fear, so where they do sort of check out their outside world and who's around them, and they are quite cautious, and maybe they are just trying to be that extra set of eyes for you while they feel that you have your hands full, but it's actually not necessary at this point in time. So I do think if some sort of situation has risen that this resonates with and makes sense, it might be, and you know you're aware, like everyone is aware of something that's gone on, or someone said something to you, it might be worthwhile taking this person aside who is trying to call someone out when it's not necessary, and just saying to them, I know that you love me, I know that you've got my back. At this point in time, I don't feel like it's an issue, and you know, I don't know what else you can really say. I'm sure you'll have your own, like, you know, you're the person in this situation, you'll have a deeper understanding of what's going on, but it might be a case of just having like a gentle conversation with them and thanking them for, you know, their love, but letting them know that it's not their responsibility and they don't need to continue whatever it is, and that would help put it to bed for a while. Because although I feel like this has all been like really brilliant, I do sort of wonder if at times, like obviously you've been really working towards all these wonderful things and really enjoying it, but I do wonder if there has been some hard times, you know, in the, what is it, like in the background or behind closed doors or behind the scenes that not everyone is really well aware of. Because I do feel like you've had to really let go of, you know, it's let go of the insecurities and surrender to them, and it is that, you know, there are people around that it looks like they are really concerned about your well-being. Yeah, I do feel like this won't last too long, whatever this is. Like I feel like you've been through the worst of it and you're doing really well, and you should be really proud of what you have done or accomplished, and how far you've come and where you've had to come from, and the fact that it looks like you've ultimately done it with like absolute grace. So if that's anything, take a compliment from spirit. I am being highlighted something about this girl on the support card. Like she's holding, what is it? A dying affection? I don't know. They're saying that she's holding these flowers like with unequated love, or as a symbol of unequated love. But nothing good here has happened either. So she's not totally wrong. Okay, so it's, yeah, I don't know. She, you know, it might not be like, maybe for some of you, you got the feeling like maybe she was making things out to be worse than they were, or that something had happened that hadn't really happened, and they're just letting you know that she's not actually like causing trouble. It's just that she's seen something that she has flagged for concern, and it's just about letting you know, but maybe now is not a good time at this point, or maybe you have like higher priority concerns, or you know, there are times in our lives where it's like we already have our hands full. The last thing we need to worry about is stuff on the outside, when we've got like, you know, trying to put out fires in front of ourselves as well, or just deal with the hard things in life. But I still, yeah, I don't know, it's a bit bizarre because I still don't feel like this person that she's concerned with, and take the gender out of this, it might not be a she. I feel like for most people it is, but I do feel like the person that she's concerned about, that has that energy of being half in and half out, has not necessarily done anything wrong either. And so sometimes we can be like a quite devoted friend, and we can see other people that maybe they don't hold that same level of loyalty, but maybe they don't have the same type of friendship either. So maybe this person feels more like family to you, or maybe they're a little bit jealous or threatened or something. I'm not sure what it is. I feel like for most people it's not that jealousy, threatened feeling. Yeah, it is a possibility though, so take all you can from it. They are pointing out the labradorite. So I have a new piece of labradorite, which I love. It's a little heart shape. I don't know what I can say here other than I never used to be drawn to it, and I feel like I am now. It's kind of like I get the hidden gem message, where it's like if you look at a piece of labradorite just on the bench, maybe you don't really see anything, but if you pick it up and move it around, you can catch those glimpses of a flash, where that's kind of like the hidden beauty within it. Is also quite protective as well. Something else here, intrinsic intuition or intrinsic notion, something intrinsic to your being or well-being. Okay, so that was all that I got from the labradorite. Hopefully it added something to the rest of today's reading, and hopefully it resonated and was helpful for you all. If it was, you know, feel free to like or comment and let us know that it was. It's always appreciated to know that the readings hit home for people. But hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in another reading. Thank you. Okay, if you chose the Crow Tarot and the Green Moonstone or Garnet, this is today's reading for you as a message from Spirit. They're highlighting it's a weekly message from Spirit, which is currently already a day late, and by the time that I upload it, maybe 2 days late, but we will get there. Okay, moving on. So for me, this crystal is representative or equivalent to the heart chakra energy. So it would be something nice to work with the heart, but it also can have, I guess with it being Moonstone, I do feel like it has properties or elements that would work well with the third eye as well. So if you have anything connecting the two, or maybe if you did some work with this, you would find there was some sort of blockage where they're either intertwined or one unlocks the other when you finally work through whatever it is. I do feel like it's a really nice, soft and subtle energy. I want to say calming, but I don't think that's the right word. It's just like it's very soft. I get the feeling of like a feminine energy from this crystal. Either way, they're just highlighting that it is very appropriate for your situation. So that's lovely. We'll see what else we can get. Go. How many cards? Okay, they're telling me just one card for the tarot. For this deck anyway, so. And it is the Three of Wands. This is taking that first initial leap. And I'm hearing trusting in the universe. Having the courage to follow through on something that we really want to, that we haven't so far. Maybe it's been quite a while that you've been standing on this ledge or this side of whatever it is that you need to take a leap, you know, from or between. Quite often the longer that we wait, the more nervous and anxious we can get about taking that leap. So it is something that I get the feeling of, you know, given that it's something that you already want to do, and maybe this is confirmation for you that you can take the leap. Like, it would be great if you could just take the leap as soon as you can. Don't overthink it, just take action and just do it. And if there's any, you know, if you come across any issues at the time, then you can just like deal with that then and there. Because, you know, as a person that has suffered a lot with anxiety and I don't know, I guess being attached to the outcome of the situation, we can kind of hold ourselves hostage where we don't allow ourselves to move forward, being stuck in a state of maybe like analysis paralysis or something, trying to work out what's the best potential outcome. Although I don't even know if this is about that, but although that energy did sort of come through a little bit, this is really taking the leap for something that you've wanted for a long time. And I feel you're scared that there are or have been rough waters, or there will be rough waters on the way. But and it's not to like devalue or invalidate those feelings. They're 100% real and worthwhile considering, and we always should be aware of what we're getting into to the best of our ability. The only thing is that there's no way we could know if there's going to be a storm, right? There's just no, and you can't hold yourself to such a high standard where you will not forgive yourself for having foreseen something that was totally out of your control or unforeseeable. So if you can, and this is something that you want to do, I strongly suggest just taking the leap and don't think about it, and you'll probably get there a lot quicker than what you thought. And the other way that I like to look at it is that over the years, there have been certain things that I've wanted to do in life. One of those things, for example, was taking some sort of like university course. And what would sort of happen when I was younger, when I had these interests, is I would like think about it for such a long time and think about, and then I'd finally take the leap. And then, you know, maybe something would happen in life where it was actually, you know, it wasn't practical at that time to actually follow through with it when I had only like just started out so early, like life's uncontrollable events, and I had to park it and wait till things settled down to try again. But the thing is that over the course of like maybe 7 or 8 years, the amount of times, like I think it only happened 3 times, and each time was truly terrible events that played out. So it's not like there's a lack of sympathy here, but it's just acknowledging that like every time that I didn't start it and I didn't go and follow through on it, or I pulled out because it was a lot, it was like, you know, another year that had passed that I hadn't actually done what I'd wanted to do. And if I had found a way, I'm not sure if I would have been able to cope with it, but if I had tried to find a way to do both and maybe prioritize, you know, the self-care to get through whatever it was happening at the time, and the study because it's, you know, my future and well-being, not well-being, passion or interest, and like, I guess even though it's not your livelihood at the time, it turns into your livelihood, and then you end up being in a such better position that, you know, you have more possibilities that open up to you because you're able to do it. So it's not like, you know, it wasn't a silly thing to do. And I'm sure I could have got 3 years in and I could have had something happen and pulled out, and, you know, I guess you can always continue study later on, but I could have decided that it's not for me and never gone back. And I don't think that that time is necessarily lost. We live in a world where, I live in a world where I am in Australia, where people quite often don't value anything until it has a title and accreditation, until you've done, you know, until you've completed something, until you start seeing the fruits of it. And there's almost an undercurrent that I've experienced, maybe not for everybody, but where the annoying times or the insurmountable amount of hard work and hours that you had to put in to achieve, like, you know, getting the degree or something, was not valued by people around you until it became useful to them, or until it was like something that they could say. Because, and I understand it, but 3 years worth of a university degree, maybe it would take you for a 4th year to finish it. It's not necessarily wasted. There are weird ways and things that play out in life that are just like, we would never be able to pick. You know, you might have done like 3 years of, say, a psychology degree, and that psychology degree and that knowledge that you learn doesn't just go to waste because you didn't finish the degree. And I don't know, I'm a huge advocate for finishing it if you can, because I think it would be immensely helpful for you to be in a position where you can use it to the best of your advantage, but also like you're utilizing it, right? The thing that you have already put so much work into. I don't feel like it's something that you should necessarily like walk away from unless it's actually, there's a reason for it that you don't want to. I'm encouraging everybody to better themselves in every way that they can. It's going on a massive tangent here, but where there's something to it. It's that, you know, that psychology is still, you can still apply it in your day-to-day life. You can still find better ways of like dealing with your personal relationships based out of that, or born out of that. Or maybe you go off to a totally different industry and you become a manager of, you know, a team of people, but because of your psychology backing, you actually have fantastic experience in how to create a conducive and productive environment where people are actually happy to come to work. It might not be that. Maybe you turn out to be some, like, you know, a tarot reader on YouTube, and that psychology backing is deeply, deeply insightful into some of the energies that are coming through because you have that extra depth of perception or something like that. Anyway, I feel like at this point you understand what I'm saying, you get the gist of it, but they wanted to make sure that we got there. The other thing is here is in this 3 of Wands card, there is a star in the background over the hills or over the mountains. And I feel like that's the star that you're looking toward to like get to the other side. So even if it's not directly in front of you, maybe it's like a long-term goal or something that you have in your sights, and it might take a while to get there, but it's still very worthwhile, the journey. And sometimes it's not always about the end goal or the achievement that we receive at the end. Quite often, I think the journey is underrated and undervalued because what I was mentioning before, we haven't quite completed whatever it is we're meant to. And it feels like it's so far away, and it can be overwhelming, and it can be a lot of work, but it's really, the journey is ultimately like what creates us and affects our characteristics. It's the like becoming of who we are and how you navigate on this journey. Please don't ever be too like harsh or unkind or unforgiving to yourself, because there are always events and things that pop up that are totally out of our control, and we cannot there's no way we could know. But you know, like, you know, sometimes stuff's going to happen, and you just need to do it, and you just need to move on. Do you want to be the person that looks back in 8 or 9 years and goes, I could have done a degree or 2 in that time and I never did it, you know, because it seemed too hard at the time? Or and this does exist on a variant where for some people, you know, maybe it was just, maybe there wasn't enough there for you to, you didn't feel like there was enough there for you to actually follow through, or it wasn't a concrete enough outcome or result for you to have to want to follow through. For other people, there will be people where the waters are literally really treacherous, and it's something that I'm currently, oh, I'm getting goosebumps, something that I'm currently finding myself in a position of where I'm going to have to start making calls in my personal life of things are going to be really hard for a little while, but I can take steps, and it is going to temporarily make my life harder. And I say temporarily, but I mean it could take a few years. But ultimately, if I do that, I will end up being able to pull myself out of a position that I might not ever be able to if I don't do it. And so sometimes our choices aren't great choices at all, or the best choices, or we wish there were other choices available, but sometimes it's all we have is that choice. Okay, that's enough for that card, so we can move on. We're going to take an oracle card. This is, sorry, an archetype card. Okay, 2. So the 2 cards we have Messiah and Pioneer. So with the Messiah, the light attribute is serving humanity with humility. The shadow attribute is exaggerated belief that you are the only means through which a cause can succeed. With Pioneer, we have the light attribute of passion for doing and creating what has not been done before, and the shadow attribute is compulsive need to keep moving on. Okay, so this Messiah card, serving humanity with humility, maybe that's something that you'll end up doing when you get to this other side, but maybe it's a really important step for you to take during this journey. You know, I live in a part of the world where a lot of us have had a lot come easily to us in terms of like food and safety and shelter, and you know, like children have toys and that sort of thing. Do they need the toys? Not necessarily, but we have them. And because it's so normal to grow up this way, it is taken for granted, and it's seen as a necessity, although the child doesn't really need a toy. The child needs, you know, parents and family and nurturing and attention and play. Obviously, like, you know, the other needs like health and wellness and eating and sleeping and all that, but it's really about toys and not necessary, but, you know, connections deeply formed with caregivers is what they really need. And I guess, what is it? There's something else here. Yeah, serving humanity with humility. We sometimes don't recognize that what we think is having humility is not having humility at all. That sometimes having humility is a depth in which we just haven't experienced. And so there's no shame in that. There's no shame in where you have come from. There is no shame in the way that you were brought up or your cultural background. There is no shame in having parents that you did because that's what you were given. Or maybe not parents, maybe caregivers. I guess it's a nudge from spirit to just know that there's sometimes more to the picture and that we don't always know the whole situation. And this is, a different energy to what I was feeling before. I almost feel it in my heart a little bit, where this is really, I feel like some people, I don't know if some people, this is about family or like children or fostering children or maybe not adopting children, it could be, but maybe there's something here where you're in some sort of public servant or community position or social worker position. I don't know, it could be anything. You could be a counselor, you could be a million things. You literally could be a person that works a checkout at a grocery store, because so many people underestimate, the isolated elderly where we live, that you are the person that has that conversation with the elderly person, but you might not realize that you're the only person that person speaks to, if not just that whole day, but maybe the last 3 days or a week. Sometimes people are in situations that we just cannot foresee. The other side of this is that you cannot be solely responsible for, all of humanity working out well, okay? You can't be the only person doing volunteer work, and, if you have a day that you're sick, feeling so guilty about it because it's not going to happen without you there. Yeah. I am hearing martyr, so I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but yeah. I think that this is not necessarily a light or a shadow attribute, but this is just a mix of the general energy. The other thing is that you could be a person that is bringing information through from higher realms for people, and you are serving humanity with humility that maybe you don't always get recognition for, and that maybe you're not like the only means in which the cause can succeed. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the Pioneer card. So we had the light attribute was passion for doing and creating what has not been done before, but the shadow attribute is compulsive need to keep moving on. So maybe you are faced with a challenge of, do I move on regardless, or do I take the time to create this or bring this thing to life, whatever it is? Maybe you are, okay, maybe this treacherous waters or the rocky waters is actually a case of you being the person doing this for the first time. Whether that's in your family, in an industry, something that doesn't exist. Maybe with the Messiah and the Pioneer, you are pulling something through from spirit or the universe, and you are trying to navigate how to actually bring this in so that it can be shared. Okay, so next we're taking a card from the Barbieri Zodiac Oracle. Okay, we're going to split the deck. Okay, here, so we have the Scorpio card with number 8, and we have Mars with 17. They're saying that Mars is really important because of the way that we act within the world. And they're saying that maybe you have a lot of Martian energy that doesn't always serve you well. And what it is that you're just coming off like more fierce than to people than maybe what you really are or what you recognize. But then for others, you are seen as a leader and a fighter, and you are going to be a person that will actually bring this all into fruition. And that you embody the sun energy, which is funny because it's Mars. But it is very masculine. They're saying outward orientated action or external action. Outward external orientation. It's like you're protecting yourself and you have your weapon and you're ready to fight. I'm hearing fighting for what is right. So maybe you're just about to, you're just at a place where you haven't jumped off the edge quite yet, and you are about to embark on a very, very heavy, very hard-hitting journey where you need to be prepared. And maybe this is that confirmation of letting you know that you are in fact prepared. You've done everything that you can do to make sure that when you do jump off, you have done everything you can. Like, there's no looking back from this point. You can't, you know, like, you can only have compassion for yourself because you've tried every avenue and you've done everything you can to strengthen yourself. Sometimes it's okay to put it all down, like put down the armor, put down the shield, put down the weapon, and breathe. And this, what is it? Take what is it? I don't know if I'm saying the word right. Take hospitality? No. I know, take hospice anyway. And that this can be time where you can, it's okay to breathe. It's okay to put it all down and stop and breathe and take hospice. And yeah. It's okay to surrender once in a while. It's okay to let things be, or let someone else fight the fight for a moment while you can take a break so that you can continue to fight. Because if all we ever do is fight, then we don't, you know, it just eventually wears us down. If you've been fighting for a long time, it's time to take a break. For those of you that are gearing up for it, you're ready to take that leap. You know, and for those of you that are worn down and it's time to take a break, that's the only way that you can, you know, take the next leap or take the next step on this journey. I am feeling that there is also, for some of you, a man that is looking out for you here. I'm hearing, yes, it is a physical male, like a physical biological male. But they're saying that the truth is that the male energy or the masculine energy is all that really matters here. So maybe there is a male in your life that really, truly embodies this masculine energy. Fierce, independent, protective. And that is enough. Okay. Okay, so on the flip side, we have the Scorpio card. I do feel, if you resonate with this, maybe you have Scorpio or even the Mars somewhere in your chart, but in your like tropical birth chart or tropical astrological birth chart, I feel like Scorpio is just so misunderstood, and I'm only learning about this myself, like particularly Scorpio at the moment. I haven't done a great deal of research into it yet, but I highly resonate with this as someone that has Scorpio in a profound placement in my rising or ascendant placement in my chart. And there's like a lot of outward depiction here that I don't necessarily agree with, that I feel like other people see or can project a lot. But I do feel like it is almost just a protective nature, because there is that misunderstanding and then people tend to project onto you. So it's almost like you, as much as you're not necessarily naturally guarded, you almost end up having to be guarded, because otherwise you're going to just be copying people's projections left, right and center, because there is so much depth to you that people can get lost in it. They just don't have that capacity and they don't understand. And if you don't resonate with this and you're having other Scorpios come to mind that this doesn't really sound right, they may have a lot of other placements that are, you know, molding what you see in a different way, so that it's not necessarily the essence of whole Scorpio on its own. And it's something that I am well aware of, that we all may do, like where we grow up thinking that our sun sign is our only sign, and that's, you know, we can find bits and pieces that we identify with. And so maybe sometimes we try to make certain characteristics fit into our sun sign. That's not necessarily where it actually comes from. So for me, I have Virgo sun placement or sun sign, and the Scorpio is my rising sign. So there are a lot of parts of me when I was younger that I didn't understand were Scorpio. I thought that was part of being a Virgo. So there's a lot there. There's so much detail into the like astrology, and I'm thankful for my friends that have, I guess, led the way or inspired me or introduced me to it, because it's something that I never cared for, and it's also something that I find equally helpful now. One thing I am getting here with this Mars card is the number 17, and when you reduce it numerology, like in numerology, it will reduce to the number 8, which is also Scorpio. So I do feel like there could be a counterpart here. So maybe that's what the male or masculine energy was coming through. And Scorpio, water and darkness and intuitive flowing can be that, like, I'm hearing Psyche as well, is that like real feminine energy. So if it's not necessarily like the masculine energy in your life, this can be both sides of the coin for yourself as well, right? So maybe he is looking to her though, and I feel like, so maybe he is like reliant upon her, or maybe you have some sort of masculine energy that is reliant or waiting for some sort of feminine energy to come into balance here. I am hearing the depth of these waters is too high. I'm hearing anything that you can do to lessen this is like greatly appreciated. So this might not even be your energy, but this could actually be energy of people that you are trying to help or that are around you. Maybe you're trying to educate them in some way. I definitely get that feeling of you're a person that is helping people in the community. So maybe a lot of these people come off in that scorpionic way where it is really easy to misunderstand them, and from the outside they do look really rough, or they do look like I don't know, like a little bit convoluted at times. I'm not sure. Maybe they do just look really guarded, and yeah. They are highlighting there's something in the colors here as well. So with the Mars card, we have like a lot of orange and brown. Orange is the sacral chakra and brown will be the Earth Star chakra. So it's like that outward emotional expression and creativity and sexual nature as well, or expression. Whereas the Scorpio, we have blue, purples, pinks. Blue would typically be like throat chakra, so expressions of authenticity. Purples, third eye, or even sometimes crown chakra. So being connected to your intuition and seeing clearly. And the pink is like the upper or higher heart chakra. And I'm hearing unconditional love for that, which makes sense, right? I feel like if there's one crystal that most people have seen or heard about is rose quartz, and it is the embodiment or representation of unconditional love in a crystal. Really soft and accepting and subtle, but very powerful. Okay. So one thing that I did feel drawn to is that for those of you that feel like you're in the scorpionic energy, or maybe you are quite spiritual or quite in touch with your intuition, and maybe like, you know, a lot of this pinker energy is sort of in the center in front of her, and it looks like that's what she's trying to protect. And maybe at the same time as being guarded and trying to protect her heart or be vulnerable, she even though she looks really guarded, she does still have that like authentic, genuine expression on the outside, which is the part that's really vulnerable, I guess, or it's almost in tandem, in tie with that heart. And yeah, maybe you resonate with that energy as a person, but you're attracting some sort of suitor here if it's not already somebody around you that has a much more either earthy or Martian energy. But I feel like he is here to fight for you no matter what. So maybe for those of you that this resonates for and you have somebody in mind, it could be a couple of things, right? You could be turning your back on them because maybe they were too hot-headed, or maybe they, you know, didn't, that hot-headed thing sort of comes through a little bit. And then for others of us, maybe we're here like embodying ourselves and everything that comes with us and our heart, and doing work on ourselves and trying to protect ourselves at the same time. And we have some male counterpart. Maybe it's not a typical counterpart. Maybe he is within the vicinity and has his eye on you in a way of just interest. Like maybe there's something more to her. What am I like? I get a feeling of getting to want to know you. So whoever this person is, male or female, wants to get to know you. And maybe this whole Scorpio energy, even if it's not in your chart or not something that you normally resonate with, maybe this is just an energy that you could feel like you're in at the moment, where you have been mistreated or misunderstood quite a lot. So you do now have to be guarded. And at the same time, you're trying to really be yourself in case you do have some sort of, you know, real life partner opportunity or whatever it is, just connections in general. You don't want to miss out on them because you're being so guarded. So you're trying to still be yourself, and you're still trying to come from a space of, you know, your heart, and not totally shutting yourself off. And I think it's fantastic if you can find a way to keep your heart center open. But of course, it would be silly to just put it out on a platter for anyone to come and take it, right? So there is definitely an element of like needing to protect it, but also being mindful that we can't just totally shut ourselves off or we miss out. And then there are those times and places and people that we do need to be really mindful of and quite guarded with. And, you know, if you have a strong sense of intuition, maybe that's all you need to make that decision, and you don't owe anybody an explanation, and you just need to move with that. I would never want anyone to put themselves in an uncomfortable position where they found themselves in harm's way. We all have our own responsibility for our own decisions in life, and I wouldn't necessarily take something out of a, you know, general tarot reading off the internet and replace it for, you know, real life nuanced you know, decision making. For others of you, I do feel like this other energy here, the masculine energy that I'm feeling, looks like he has a bone to pick with you. So I don't know if you've tried to leave somebody behind and they're still trying to hang around, or still trying to connect with you. Like you're trying to leave them behind and they're still trying to stay there. They're still trying to command your attention. They're still trying to keep you within their energy, or stopping you from moving on or something like that. I'm not sure. But for others, I feel this is, you know, it's kind of crazy doing a reading like this, because we're getting, I don't know if there's just a bunch of people in this group, or if, or a lot of the things that I'm saying, a lot of the elements are tying into one bigger picture for somebody. You will only know with what resonates for you. And by what resonates for you, I don't mean thinking your way, like dwelling yourself into fitting this to your situation if it doesn't fit. If it fits, it fits. If you feel like it resonates, just, I don't know, just be mindful of it. You're just still encouraged to make your own decisions, as always. For others of you, I feel like this masculine energy is wearing his heart on his sleeve. he's trying to show you he's coming in softly, and this is, I'm getting a reference for something that I've heard earlier in the week from another reading, where for some of us that have been that have experienced some hard situations, typically tied to relationships, whether it's like some sort of trauma or abuse, or maybe it's neither of those, maybe it just didn't work out, but it left us weary or skeptical of anybody around us. The analogy that I got was, you know, people can see you as almost like a stray cat, right? Like you're flighty and you're scared and you're really protective, and you know, if they come in too quick or come off too strong, then they could just scare you away so easily, because you're just, you know, you're not quite in a place where you're maybe like really ready for that, or maybe life has brought you to a place where that's just how you are in those situations. Okay, so I feel like we need to take another oracle card for this pile. Okay. So we'll be taking a card from the Magical Spirit Oracle. Jesus, that's, we're not doing that. That's like, I've got to mention, like in this reading, I'm not even, like I can see a few different like stories playing out here for different people, but I'm not even really sure that I understand it. So hopefully it makes sense for you. Like I said, just take what resonates and don't try to make anything fit. So, okay. The first card that we got is number 15 with Magic Mushroom. Miracles, fairy energy, opening up, stay open to the good and beautiful things. And I think that sort of ties in with what we're saying about trying to still be our authentic selves and trying to keep our heart center open. You know, yeah, we'd be a little bit guarded, hence that stay open to the good and beautiful things. We're not going to totally let down our guard or protection, but we want to stay open to the possibility that, you know, we don't need protection from every single person. I feel like I don't actually know, but for this reading, I feel like one of the only ways we can ever really move on is, in a healing sense, is to actually move on and put ourselves out there a little bit, enough that we can come across people that are really good natured and kind of restore our faith in humanity. The second card that I have is number 39 with the Alchemist, Empowerment, Pain, and Sorceress. And the message written on the cup is, oh, I don't break that easy, not anymore. Instead, I use things as fuel. So anything that has put you in a place of disempowerment or needing to feel like you have to guard yourself, even any of these, like, you know, other people's projections and that sort of thing, it doesn't need to affect us. And I feel like, in fact, you might be in a place, and if you're not quite there yet, you will be soon, where you are unaffected by what other people have to say or they try to project onto. She is quite content encompassing her own energy and knowing where she stands and what she thinks, and having that really strong sense of self. She's unaffected, doing what she wants to do. The other side of it is with the message of the Alchemist and Empowerment and Pain and Sorceress. I did also get that message before of maybe thinking that you were actually like quite a spiritual person as well. And it would kind of make sense with this Messiah card. Well, one thing is the Three of Wands, right? It's fire, ignition and passion and inspiration, you know, and it's, to me, fire can also be that little bit of intuitive stuff as well, and that's the star that the crow's looking forward towards. Then with the Messiah card, serving humanity with humility, and that, you know, whether it's light or shadow attribute, that the sense of Messiah and serving humanity is quite literally what's a lot of that healing from the universe will bring in. Okay, so again, being in touch with spirit, and that if that resonates for you, maybe this pioneer energy is being like one of the first people to bring that in. But maybe that's why you feel like a pioneer, because although not that I haven't, you know, been in touch with my intuition for a very long time, right? It's probably been about 2 years. And before that, like, you know, I experienced things when I was a kid, but sort of in between being a child and growing up and leaving that behind, and until a point where I did awaken, if you will, I was like, I think I always believed in stuff, but I was just as much none else the wiser. Like, and so when, although a lot of people with social media and this day and age are more accepting than maybe they ever have been where I live, there's still a lot of taboo. There's still a lot of negative connotations that go hand in hand with anything classified as woo-woo or witchy or pseudoscience, anything that doesn't have like a concrete outcome or result. Okay, so that's everything for your reading for today, Group 2. I hope that you got something out of it, enjoyed it, it resonated, it was helpful in some way. Let me know by giving us a like or in the comments. Also, if you would like to learn, like, if you would keep in mind this is a general reading, right? So not only can there be multiple people in the one group, and so like multiple stories playing out, but it's not always like the energy is not honed into just one person, so it's not the same as what a personal reading would be. If you are interested in getting a personal reading from me, you can email me using the email found in the description box. But otherwise, blessings to you all, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you in another video. Okay, welcome Group 3 to today's reading. If you want to go back and watch the shuffle, you're welcome to just like rewind that part of the video. I've got the message just like very briefly that you guys don't have time to burn today, so we're going with that. If you selected the Light Seers Tarot and the Garnet, then this is your reading for today. Okay, so I'm getting it's a weekly message from Spirit that I need to actually tell people that that's what it is. So here we are. All right, so the first card that I've pulled for you is the Queen of Wands. In her element, in her power, very empowered. I'm hearing following your dreams, or following, I don't know if you're like following inspiration, or you feel very ignited by something at the moment, and whatever it is seems to be bringing you a level of abundance, like internally. So maybe this is feeling like it's bringing you joy, or it is like that creative expression or inspiration. I feel like a lot of inspiration. There's something, maybe something that you're playing with or dabbling with or testing or having a go at that you haven't before, and you're actually finding that maybe not only are you quite good at it, you actually are in your element, but you really enjoy it, and it maybe brings some sort of fire back into your life. They're saying to talk about the wand here that she's holding, and when I hear wand, I just think of it, it's like she's holding the torch. So it's like you're holding a torch for this very specific thing that I think only you know or understand. I believe it could be like an intuitive thing, it could be a creative thing, it could be like arts, it could be some sort of crafting, some sort of handmade or homemade. There could be something where you're being the pioneer or bringing something through to fruition. Yeah, pioneer. Okay, cool. I did get a lot of messages regarding, you know, being the pioneer in group 2. So if that was a group that you initially did feel drawn to, it might be worthwhile to actually go back and check group 2 as well. But that's enough for now. They're just highlighting that there's lots of fire energy. So this, what is it about the fire? There's like a couple things, right, with fire. So the first thing is that we have to ensure that we have the fuel to keep the fire burning. Maybe that's like self-care so you don't get burnt out. The second thing is maybe, I don't know, I think that's all it was that I needed to mention. Okay, cool. So we're going to take a card from the Barbieri Zodiac Oracle. Okay, so this is Capricorn. I don't know, I feel like this energy is you, and maybe you are quite pretty or attractive or in some sort of attractive energy. Maybe you're just like naturally an attractive sort of person that people are sort of drawn to, like that whole moth to a flame analogy, especially with the fire. And within the Capricorn, there is like a lot of the yellow and orangey hues, the same as the fire. So I still get that energy or notion of creating something here. And Capricorns are typically known for being like extremely hardworking, very diligent, like a very good, one of the best work ethics. And getting things done, completing things. So Capricorn is actually, it must be like the 10th sign in the Zodiac. And 10 is representative of that like completion or closing out a cycle. So you actually follow through on what you do. So yeah, that's really good. That's great. I'm hearing feeling quite magical and mystical in ways that you never have. I do feel like for any of you that are like curious enough and it's something that you want to do, or you really struggle to actually pick a pile today, all 3 piles have had mentions of like being in touch with spirit and intuition and whatnot. So maybe the people that I'm all getting to watch today are already like spiritually inclined people. Makes a lot of sense because I post on like you know, spiritual groups and whatnot when I share the links to my videos. Maybe for some of you that are not so, it could just be that awareness. Okay, so moving on. I do have the energy or the feeling here of this Capricorn. You are like taking the time to really like suss things out before making any rash moves, where the Queen of Wands, I am hearing maybe a little bit rash at times because fire moves very, very quick. So maybe it's that reminder to slow down and embrace that sort of earth element energy of being like slow and steady wins the race. And it comes back to that, you know, when you're doing things very fast, it's quite easy to make mistakes, or we're more likely to make mistakes when we're going too fast. Whereas the Capricorn is going to like really, I'm hearing like nut things out, or yeah. Okay, so we're going to take another tarot card. There we go. Okay, we've got a few jump out. Okay, so we've got the Ace of Pentacles, the Seven of Cups, yeah, Ace of Pentacles, Seven of Cups, Two of Swords, and the Four of Cups. And they're telling me to keep the Four of Cups reversed. Okay, so I do feel cool before we get into these cards to actually talk about the crystals. I gotta be honest with you, I don't really know a lot about like every single crystal. I've got like basic information, and I will only be pulling, like, only sharing with you what is supposed to be shared in regards to the reading. I guess so if you feel particularly drawn to a crystal, or like you want to know more, I encourage you to do a little bit of research. Maybe you have to search, you know, online for it. The first one was the rose quartz, and rose quartz is typically known for that unconditional love, and the higher or upper heart chakra is usually a pink color. So it may be something that you want to do some work with, or it may be nice to have around you. I do feel like it can be quite calming for anxiety, and it's not something I've worked with for that particular reason. I generally have other crystals that I would go to just for that, but there may be somebody here where your anxiety is actually relative to something to do with the heart, and that's why it would actually be a good choice for you relative to your situation. Okay, so self-acceptance as well, okay? Self-love and self-acceptance. Loving thyself. So the second crystal that we have, and this was what was actually on top of the pile for group 3, which is the Garnet. It's a very, very deep, darker color burgundy that I have here. It is actually really quite beautiful. I do feel like it is quite grounding. It can almost be a little bit heavy for me, but that won't be the case for everybody. And I do feel like it is really quite deep. So maybe you resonate with feeling like you have a lot of depth, or something in your situation goes quite deep. Okay, so going back to the cards. So we'll start with the Ace of Pentacles. We're just going to go through one by one and see what we get. And it's like initially or straight away, the Ace of Pentacles, it's like taking time to like grow something small and giving it like all the nurturing that it really needs. And for anybody that is into gardening or plants, and maybe buy like small plants, or maybe propagate or germinate plants yourself, when they're quite small or new, they quite often require so much more care than what an older or established plant would, where you can typically like set them back and let them go, and they'll take care of themselves if they're in the right environment. So whereas, yeah, at the start, they actually require a little bit of extra love or nurturing, where they may need a bit more water, or maybe they can't handle quite as much full sun just yet, depending what it is. So yeah, there is that element. There is a second element that I'm getting through here about taking your time to grow something before you really share with anybody what you're growing, or you're like working on, or you're nurturing here. It may be something that like it is in your private life, and you don't need to feel like you have to share with everybody, and that's totally fine. And I think sometimes it's really nice for ourselves to have something that it's just for us. We don't always have to share everything with the world. It can be just for us. But I do also get that the feeling that for some of you, it could be growing something before we share it with people, so that they don't kill the idea. We're in such early stages that maybe we don't have quite that much confidence with it yet, or maybe we're still susceptible to that level of self-doubt because we're getting that external feedback. That might be correct at the time or accurate, but it's not necessarily what concrete. It's not always going to be like that. Like, this is new, it's evolving, it's growing. it's going to change, right? At some point. Okay, so that's enough there. So, or is it? Maybe not. They're just highlighting that you need to take your time to grow things your way, to do it right. They're also mentioning heavy earth energy. Maybe as a person that is well established with their pentacles, with their earth energy, with their earthly matters of the world, if you will, you are so good at it that you can grow things with ease. Whether this is like in a business sense or an energetic sense, I'm not really sure what this is. Maybe you, I don't know, for some of you, I'm sure it's just gardening, but I mean, I think it's deeper than that. For some of you, like that gardening can be a real sense of therapeutic, or I guess it's a therapy, right? And so maybe for some of us, we find solace in the therapy of gardening itself and growing things and taking time and nurturing. And it can be like a really beautiful and lovely way to nurture ourselves and our inner child. It's a safe space. It gets us out of our head. It gets us into our body working with our hands. And it can give our heart and minds peace and a break and time to just let everything go and drop it all for a moment. Yeah. They're saying there's something else here. They're saying that dirty hands don't matter. So maybe you've had to work really hard to get to where you are. And despite what other people, you know, want to say about, like, maybe they don't think you're doing very well, or maybe they think you're like too early on in your journey, but they just don't see like the rest of your life that's gotten you to this point to actually put you in a position where you make this call and you feel confident to do so. And there's lots of confidence here, and there's lots of willpower here. With a lot of the yellow tones, like the solar plexus. Like, I feel like you know what you're doing and you're very well versed, and you should not let anybody else's opinion like sway you, and you don't need anyone else's validation. And it's okay to do things your way. Okay, so moving on to the Seven of Cups. So maybe this is that, like the self-doubt or the not trusting or feeling overwhelmed with choices. Maybe you're at a point where you know you want to do something, you want to grow something, or you want to birth something, maybe into the earthly realms or as a business or something like that. This could be health as well, right? Like, it could be that you really need to take time to nurture yourself. And out of all the things that it could be, right, there's so many cups here. They're not all necessarily filled with good things, but maybe you're trying to make that decision around like what you want it to look like, or how you're going to get there, or what's involved, or what would be, you know, the best step to take to help yourself. You know, sometimes things that we do may look really helpful and then they're not, and they just kind of waste our time. They're not necessarily always like a bad outcome. It's just not what we were looking for. So we might spend a little bit of time trying to contemplate what that would be. But I'm being drawn back to the Ace of Pentacles. So I think that if you know, I'm feel like what's in your heart, what you genuinely want, and you have the willpower to make it work and to see it through and to spend the time nurturing it, it's not going to matter what it is, because you have that, I'm hearing like abundance and success and brilliance and intelligence and yeah, maybe like a depth of intellectual understanding that other people don't. It's not about comparison, it's not really about other people, but it's just letting you know that, like, you know, sometimes like in life when people are very quick to give out advice, or maybe we genuinely like ask somebody for advice, but maybe what the advice is seems so clear cut, but it doesn't really take into account the full depth of the situation. And, you know, people don't always have that insight, and it's not them in the situation themselves. So it's like quite easy to go, well, yeah, I would do this. But then if they were really in it, would they? So we're going to leave behind other people's input here. This is all about you and taking your time, and maybe just spending time growing things on your own for a little while before you like get anybody else involved. And I do feel like that, you know, the next card is like the Two of Swords, and that can be that real crossroads energy where like maybe you're so stuck in this energy of like knowing who to talk to or what you're looking for, like whatever this, you know, how to get there and stuff, that you actually just get yourself on a loop, or like I'm hearing neurotically obsessed, but for others of us it's just like between a rock and a hard place where we don't know what decision to make. But ultimately, while we're not making a decision, we're not making a decision, and we could have already made the decision to step out on something and commit to it. Whether it works out or not, that doesn't matter so much. We'll handle that when we get there. Having like being in this energy of analysis paralysis is not going to help us in any way today. All we can do is make a move and have compassion for ourselves if it doesn't work out, and handle that then and there, and trust that you are equipped to be able to. And I know it can be, you know, sometimes we're attached to an outcome of wanting things to look a certain way, but it sometimes the outcome that we want or have in mind is so limited, and we don't always have that full understanding of everything it could be or that is possible, because, you know, of all the mental patterns or the beliefs or stories that we tell ourselves, or the way we grew up, or conditioning. There's a lot of things that like go into play there, and I don't want to get too lost in that because I feel like it's taking away from the rest of the reading, so we'll leave it at that. Moving on to the Four of Cups. So the Four of Cups is in reverse here, so I do feel like if you're able to actually make some sort of decision, you know, to the best of your ability with the knowledge that you have, and commit to it. Yeah, there's something else here. It's about like people, maybe people are in your ears, or they're trying to get in your ears. Maybe there are people that are like trying to create self-doubt within you. Maybe there are people trying to set you up for failure. Maybe, what else is that? Swords. Maybe it's like people playing each other off, even though you're caught in the crosshairs. And, you know, so like maybe one person is sort of thinking like they have an agenda of some kind, and they're like, well, you know, if group number 3 did this, it would work out really well for me. So of course I want them to take this direction, regardless of whether it's what's actually best for them. But maybe the other person is doing the same thing. Well, maybe if group 3 took this path, it would work out really well for me. And they, you know, are almost fighting each other, but you're the person that it's really damaging here. And you just need to make a decision based on what you want to do, what you know, take this idea and all this inspiration that you have, and all of the heartfelt energy and, you know, the fire in your heart that it brings, and really decide what you want to do with it. What does it mean to you? How far do you want to take this? What could be possible? What could be the outcome? You know, apply that Capricorn energy and work ethic and the building blocks, and like, you know, be prepared and look into things and actually do the real world building and work that we know that you're able to. You know, you're stable and steady and secure, and you can actually do it like fantastically. There's probably not many people better for the job. And you've got that almost like natural born given talent. If it's not natural born, it's like you're so well practiced by this point that you know what you're doing. You don't need anyone else's opinion. You don't need other people trying to come in here and, you know, direct you or create doubt within your own like sphere, especially when it's something that you're so confident with. If you didn't have to hear anybody else's opinion on it, would you have any self-doubt at all? Or would you trust yourself because you know you know? And it's just taking me back to this like almost being on loop. So maybe this isn't even about other people. Maybe it's your own thoughts. Maybe it's your own thinking patterns, or the self-doubt that crops up within ourselves, or intrusive thoughts or something like that. Maybe it's the things that were told to us when we were younger that we're repeating to ourselves because we internalized it. Maybe things just haven't worked out well for us in life, And when we do find something good and we do know what we want to do with it and we are prepared to put the work in, we just get so caught up in trying to not make that wrong move because we're so attached to the outcome. And this Four of Cups energy here, like Four of Cups can typically be being bored or feeling stagnant, you know, not, or sometimes there's not a real great sense of gratitude. And I don't know, like I don't feel too much that it's about the gratitude. It's just maybe we don't realize what we have in just a very like realistic sense. But you know, if you can be your own advocate and make these decisions to the best of your ability, then it'll get to a place where the Four of Cups is in reverse. And I feel like I want to read the book on this one. But if you think of what the opposite of that Four of Cups would be, instead of boredom, maybe it is like more fulfillment, and maybe it's free flowing and there isn't any stagnancy, and yeah, maybe there's fulfillment. So let's see, where's the book? Okay, Four of Cups. Okay, focusing on the negative pessimism, a time to practice gratitude. No, that's not what we want. Or it might be. Okay, the general message for this card is that I see the fullness and richness of my life. So maybe that's all it is like when you know, make this decision or make this move, it gets you to a place where you are really quite fulfilled and happy with what you've done. And it doesn't always have to work out, although that's not the energy that I'm getting here. It's just that maybe you don't think that it can, when there's a great possibility that it can. Okay, so that's everything that I'm getting for this reading for Group 3 today. I hope that it resonated and was helpful in some way. If you found it helpful, I would greatly appreciate it if you like the video, or if you can comment and let us know how it was helpful, because I'm kind of interested to know what this seed is, or whatever this venture is, or this thing that you're growing. But regardless of that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in another video. Thank you.